Hello, guys. Sorry to
Hello.
interrupt your conversation.
How
I,
are you?
I'm one of the judges in your STEM fair. I don't know, did they give us a certain time to give questions?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Let me know if there are other judges coming in and you need to go and get them. Looks like everyone's here, right? All your team
Yep.
Yeah.
members? Nice.
Yes.
So I looked at your video. Good job, everyone. What is the name of your project? Is it Sea Glider or
Sea Glide
or do you? Okay.
like it's just a Sea Glide project. Like
Okay.
we create our own spin on the Sea Glide, add our own innovations.
I see. All right. It's just that one of the rubrics criteria was asking what is the name of the student's project, and I look in your video. It just says Engineering 4, Sea Glide
Engineering
B4 Team 2, and I was like, all right, that's the name.
Well, like you've seen our presentation, right? Like it says Amiga Sea Glide. I guess that's our sort of brand.
Okay. I just want to check off that box so that you don't get any points off because of a title, which is not important. But I think
Got
Mr.
it, thank
Semple
you.
was asking, here are the criteria for judging. What is the name of the project? But anyways, I'll just put in the Sea Glide as your title. Your slide deck looks good. I really enjoy the background information that you guys give on like thermal sensors and pressure sensor. I was curious about the part on like how does the sea glider becomes buoyant. I think it was very rushed in the video. I think because you guys have like a certain amount of time to explain that. So, and I was curious about your, is it called Arduino?
Arduino code.
Okay.
Arduino Mini.
Yes, that's the one. And I'm curious why you chose that, or did it come with a kit?
It came with the kit, I believe.
It came with,
like,
okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Like, it came with the kit, right?
Yeah. And it fits the inside the water bottle, so it's the best Arduino to put in there.
Okay. All right. I had to Google that up because I've never heard of that term before. And of course, I'm a civil engineer, not a robotics one. And so these are like really cool things going on. So a little bit about my background. My name is Trin Doan, and I work with the DC Department of Energy and Environment. And what I do is I look at civil engineering of constructing conservation landscaping. So if you guys can think of like shade trees and streets and how we place certain trees in a certain place, I help design that and also help with the construction of that. And so one of the ways I evaluate your project is to see how you guys work as a team, more so than if your sea glider worked or not, in terms of like, did you guys test it or did it fail? Did it sink and all that stuff? And I particularly interested in like what project management you guys use in terms of working remotely, because a lot of my civil engineering team, we sit down and we do something called a design charrette, which means like in the room and talk about what roles you guys do and things like that. So I'm curious to see how project managers decide on who gets to be a construction and who gets to be researcher, or do you guys pull something from a straw? And how do you guys decide on that?
Torin, you want to get that since you were the first project manager?
Oh.
Sure, I'll get that. So basically, the project manager kind of just oversees all the roles. That's the role of the project manager, and then we use a specific program called Team Gantt, which kind of organizes all of our, I guess, parts and steps that need to go before other steps in the project.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning, we basically decided that everybody kind of just fit into their roles pretty nicely. We all kind of wanted to do our own thing. And then we alternated roles at some point, and then the team members that worked on the roles previously would work together and communicate with the ones that alternated the roles. So everybody got to do certain parts. Like everybody got to do construction manager, everybody got to help with the research and then documentation and so on. So that's how that worked.
So you guys got a few of every role in the project.
Yes.
One other thing I say is that my worst position is being a project manager, because in my team there are so many personalities, very strong personalities, and I think whoever is a project manager, I give my hats off to you for being very patient with everyone. As you move into the adult world, personality gets a little bit sensitive to certain people. So I'm glad you guys were able to have a feel of how it works as a team. Do you find it challenging working remotely, especially when we're in the pandemic and in the school year's kind of weird? Or do you guys prefer this is the future of how teams in engineering will work? Like challenges or opportunities in working remotely?
I think I could speak on that one. So I think right now is how we are in a pandemic. I think we all feel unease about it. However, for engineers, I think it's more specifically to be seen with one another, mostly because they do involve a lot of discussion with one another. I think it is important for them. As for us who are going into the process of deciding what we want to do in careers and what do we want to study on, I think everyone should have at least some kind of discussion between one-on-one, mostly because we feel better, we can have a better conversation, and we don't, because some people might not have the same sense of having to look at the camera and having to discuss while looking at a computer. It doesn't feel the same as talking to someone who you see regularly or who you want to discuss something about. However, I do think that what's it called? It all comes down to how you talk, how you connect with your members of the group, as well as if you can have communication with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mostly think that it is possible right now as how we are. However, it's going to take more time and effort for one another to come to an agreement and we can plan everything so we can finish the group.
Nice. Thank you for that.
Can I just add on real quick?
Sure, Torian.
It's also with the project, at least it's hard to during the pandemic, of course, to pass around the Sea Glide and kind of have everyone do their part on it. Like that was like one of the biggest I guess struggles, is getting everybody coordinated, and it is hard, like Jose said, it is hard to communicate properly when everyone's just against a computer screen, and it's hard to, I guess, keep people accountable, but we need to work together to help fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. As I said, my work as a civil engineer, I found that my design and build work during the summer has been tricky, because when we're doing construction, we're out in the field with masks on. And the weather in DC, as you know, is super hot and humid, and it really drains on the construction folks to get the project going when we have a Gantt chart of deadlines. And one of the things we found is that delivery, like material delivery, even though you guys have kits and everything is in the kit, material deliveries in terms of like lumber and things like that has been very slow in terms of getting everyone on the schedule. And because of pandemic, a lot of folks are on the whim of getting materials ready for our projects. So one of the things I find useful in terms of like synchronous work, teamwork, FaceTime and class calls and things like that, it has helped in terms of communications. And it has helped tremendously in, speaking your mind of one-on-one in terms of FaceTime, like project manager talking to construction, staff like that. The asynchronous teamwork, we use Microsoft Teams as well. and Zoom as well. And we found that not every technology works, especially in Wi-Fi. A lot of construction folks are out in the rural area, and it has been a challenge to folks. But one of the biggest challenges is communications for me with my team. But if we all use like in OneNote or things like that, it seems to work. And let's get to your glider, because it was very interesting of how you guys put pictures on that. And I wanted to hear from Lorenz about the sensors. Did you guys just focus on like 2 sensors in this project, or were you thinking about oxygen level as well, or how could this go further if you had time?
Well, if we had time, we were actually thinking about putting cameras on it.
Oh, cameras, yeah.
Yeah, and light sensors and every stuff like that. But we were time constrained and can't really do anything about that.
Okay. In your research, what are the sea gliders used for today? I mean, if you were to sell your prototype here, what would you market it? I mean, who would you market it to? The Navy or to, folks that work on this on the ocean only, or what do they use sea gliders for?
I think it should be like it was made for researchers to like research if like to prove climate change, because it can like measure the temperature of the ocean without using too much power or supervision of the sea glide, because it can only go like autonomously, and it's cost effective to other stuff.
Okay. I also heard something called ROV. Although your sea glider is autonomous, which means it's not hooked onto any wires, right? It's like you pop it in the tank and it autonomously use the code that you've written for it. Do you think that the alternate design of remotely, like they're tethered on like a wire, has more control, or do you think any issues between the 2 design? The one is tethered to a cable that you can control, or the one that you have to code in and then making sure that the robots react well? Do you have a preference now that you've learned about, autonomous one? Have you thought about maybe a sea glider that could be tethered to a cable that gives you more control?
Well, for tethered sea glides, I think the main focus of that will be like specific research, like taking pictures of deep sea animals or stuff like that. And if you're going about with autonomous sea glides, you're basically measuring like the overall factors of the ocean, like ocean waves, stuff like that.
Have you guys tested your prototype? Is there a tank at McKinley Tech that you could test it, or I don't know. I know public pools have been closed. I think it would be great to use like an indoors pool or something like that. Were you able to have a chance?
Yeah, we had a chance to go to a school. We have a mini tank.
A mini tank?
It's kind of fun. Our seeker just works like goes up and down.
Oh, that is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, we didn't able to like put it on the presentation because we did that after we submitted the presentation.
Yeah. Well, definitely, I'm glad to hear that, because that was one of the big questions I have for your team. Did you test it, and did it buoyant, and did it go down? Did the sensor work? And I'm glad to hear that, because I didn't see it in the video. So that is a big notch on the rubric criteria. I wanted to know, when you tested at school, was it fresh water or was it salt water? And I'm curious about that because both have, different buoyancy, different levels of oxygens and things in it. And the reason I ask that is that the materials that you use, do you think it will corrode in salt water for a long period of times? Or Was it test at the tank at McKinley Tech? Was it tap water or what type of water? Do you know?
I'm just guessing, but I think we're in school. I think it's gonna be fresh water
Fresh water?
or tap water.
Okay.
Maybe. I didn't really ask about them.
Okay. Okay. Because when it says sea glider, I would guess that these prototypes things will be in marine water, and so that would have challenges of how it interacts with the materials that you use. Whether a long time it will corrode or it won't corrode because of materials you use, versus freshwater, because there are different marine life that you find in freshwater and saltwater. When my little one saw your video, she absolutely loved it. And the question she asked me to ask you, and she's only 8, so bear with me, is that, where did she say? Oh, will the shark eat your robot?
Definitely.
Definitely?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there are sea glides. There are sea glides, like the bigger sea glides. They found out that they have like marks of sharks, like shark bites.
Really?
So it's kind of showing that it's every sea life can affect the sea glide, unless you have like some ultrasonic sensor that can sway them off.
Oh, wow. So how would you overcome that challenge if there are, sharks biting your robots?
I mean, the materials for the project are they're not. I don't think they're strong enough to withstand a shark bite. So I guess if that happens, it's over. I don't know.
Okay.
Make a new one.
I see. Okay. Thank you for indulging that, because I feel like she's really into like marine life and sharks and things that goes into the ocean. One of the things that we want to avoid is like more trash in the ocean, that kind of thing. So if, let's say McKinley Tech has 15 sea glider and they all went into the ocean and sharks went after them, 15 McKinley Techs, that kind of thing, where your logo is on there. And then one time an ocean cleanup, happens and see your robot with your logo on it. So I'm just curious, in the future, how would you market your prototype so that researchers or explorers could use it in a way that is environmentally friendly, and then figure out how to improve upon it. With a raise of hand, this is my last question before the next judge comes. How many of you plan to study engineering in college? Yeah? Yeah. The one thing I say that is that the project is mainly about like teamwork. How do you work in teams? How do you work in different research? A lot of real work has to do with communication in teams. So even if you go into engineering or not, I would highly suggest that you look at internships and see the dynamic of teamwork in fellowships and how that is communicated, because oftentimes they don't look of how your prototype or your project came out. They look at how well you maintain communications and integrity in the team, and that's how they evaluate to bring you on board. One last thing I would say is that because I work in government, opportunities in government is more so about awarding project grants and contracts. And the way we evaluate project grants and contracts is we evaluate the team work of that company. So if you guys ever have an interest in internships in DC government, feel free to reach out to the Department of Energy and Environment. But if you're really going into engineering, I would advise about internships with the Navy. We have a great Navy in the district to talk about, see how their research labs look like, and things like that. Do you guys have any questions with me before I write up your rubric?
I don't got no question, but more like I want to say thank you. We all thank your time as well for being here with us and having you discuss and talking about what our design was and how you thought about it. I think we really appreciate your thoughts and what you think about our work, basically.
Yeah. Thank you, Jose. No, thank you. And thank you for that main feedback of that you did test it, even though it did not, went into the video. And I think the testing part and the troubleshooting part is like a major part of a project that you got a chance to do that. I hope you get to keep your prototype. If you don't, you can put it on a showcase at McKinley Tech. And when things open up again, I would love to see your prototype on the cabinet shelf or something like that. So good luck to you all, and feel free to contact the judges and mainly ask about are there internships or are there opportunities that I can shadow an engineer or a research lab, and don't be shy about asking those questions, because mainly they're looking for interns and students that could help with the project research. Okay, cool. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you guys. I'm gonna hop on to the next project, and feel free to contact me if you have any more questions, okay?
Have a nice day.
All right,
Have a
good
good
luck,
day,
you
Jen.
guys.
Okay. So the important things as from an engineering perspective, there are a couple things that I want to ask you guys. First off, I know you guys rotated project managers. So of the four of you, who did the project management roles?
Myself, Lorenz, and Matthew.
Okay. And then, so actually tell me what each of the roles were. Go through, you had four roles. What were they? And just give me a quick overview of who did what when.
Okay, I guess I can go first. At the beginning, I was the research, and I done research for the sensors we could do. That was like one of my jobs. Like our original idea for like a power source was a hydroelectronic generator. We obviously didn't do that because it was a bit too big for the Sea Glide. It couldn't fit inside of it. And another was like a propeller and motor. I'm not so sure on how we would have implemented that, but it was just like an idea thrown out there. One that I'm sad to say we couldn't actually do was a sonar sensor, so our Sea Glide could detect where it's going and like detect the landscape within its field of view. Like there are other sensors that we actually contemplated doing, but ultimately we went with thermal and pressure sensor because we wanted to like determine whether or not the temperature actually changes while the pressure is changing as well, whether it increases or decreases.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. So
sorry, Mr. Leslie, if I could interrupt. Guys, I'm having another judge come to visit you guys. He's with another team right now, but I've asked him to come in and talk to you. It's the guy from Team Gantt. So it may be a little bit past 11:30 when he gets here. So if you guys wouldn't mind, stick around for a few minutes until he gets here, okay?
Okay, I guess I'll be eating lunch here.
All right. Thank you. You'll be all right.
Okay. All right. Where were we? All right. So you talked about sensors, and how did you, as a team, decide what you were going to try to accomplish with your Sea Glide, and how much you actually did accomplish, given the time constraints of getting things done by, well, you had to have things done by last week.
I guess I can kind of answer this because I was the project manager at the beginning. Basically, how we decided on how things would go is that we set a time frame of what date of certain like landmarks and such. Like the final date, we were trying to be done like a week before it was due, and we definitely got it done a week before because we had our testing and everything is operational, so that's good. We kind of decided as a group, like I led the discussion, and everyone put in their case for what we wanted to do with the sensors and how we wanted to assign roles and stuff like that. And we all came to a consensus pretty easily, I'd say, just because we wanted to make things more efficient.
Okay. Now, in a sense, I have the advantage because I actually saw your Sea Glide running. Good job, because Lorenz came. What do you think you needed to do because there were things that you could have done and move forward, because you didn't have the sensor pack ready yet, did you?
I started it, but I didn't finish.
Right. What could you guys as a team have done to have accelerated things just enough so that not only did you get the Sea Glide to work, but get the sensor packet to work as well?
I guess more team communication, so we can like discuss whether we're finishing it, like helping each other to progress, and a bit more time, I guess.
Well, can I interject here? Like,
Absolutely.
I don't think the time was like the issue. I feel like it was more like the environment we are in right now, the pandemic. I feel like we could have gotten a lot more done if we were like in person.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I see Brett's here, so I'm going to let Brett take over. I hope you don't mind, Brett. I was grilling them a little bit, getting them all prepped and ready for you.
That's fine. So it looks like I've got Jose, Lorenz, Matthew, and Torin. Is that right? Is that the team?
Yes.
Cool. And I didn't mispronounce anyone's name, did I?
No.
No,
Okay.
all good.
Cool. Well, job well done. Thanks for having me in to ask a few questions. I promise this won't be high stress. My background's in project management, so I'm going to talk to you mostly about the way that you all work together, and just get your feedback from that angle. So who was the PM on the project? The project manager?
Well, actually,
was it everyone?
Yeah, it was supposed to be everyone, but due to time constraint and the way it was set up, like only 3 of us got to be project manager while 1 was left behind.
Okay.
The project managers who were doing that role was myself, Lorenz, and Torin.
Got it.
Torin
Okay.
was the start. So if you want to get like beginning to end aspect, go Torin, Lorenz, then me.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I guess my question really is kind of about the beginning of the project and how you kind of organized things and got stuff started. So I'm curious to know, when you were pulling together your plan in Team Gantt, how did you do that? How did you kind of get to a point where you could lay out tasks in a process that made sense to everyone and everyone kind of agreed to it?
Hi, I'm Torin, first project manager. I'd say for Team Gantt at least, I was kind of in charge of that, and what I basically did was I set up a time constraint for most of, or like just a regular constraint for step 1 of the process, which is getting all the materials together, and then I guess building the buoyancy engine and the the bare bones beginning of the project, and I kind of I tried to get everyone's separate opinion on everything, and then come to a decision on what we wanted to do. So I feel like everyone was on board with a lot of my decisions because I kind of clued everyone into what was going on. So
Okay, so that's good. It was kind of a collaborative process. Everybody got a say. Did so for the other two folks who were PM, did things change at all while you were managing the project? Did you have to make any updates to timing or adding or removing tasks, things like that?
For the task, we had to like adjust the time because I think we finished earlier than expected, so we moved it further back. So
That's a good change.
Yeah. So we were aiming for like 1 week before the actual deadline. So we kind of did like 2 weeks once we finished it.
Got it. Okay. Were there any challenges through the project? I mean, so finishing early is always a good thing, but were there any kind of like snags you all hit or things that made you kind of make bigger adjustments to how you were working together or the order of the work that was being done or the timing of it?
I think we can all answer this.
Okay.
But this is like there was plenty of challenges along the road. It was pretty crazy because of the times we're living in right now. We kind of, it was hard for us to actually meet together and collaborate. We could only do it really through teams. So that's one challenge that we had was trying to keep everyone accountable, including myself. I have to say it was hard to keep everyone I guess engaged. That's one thing. Also, through the kit, there were some problems with the kit because some parts didn't fit in the bottle correctly, and some parts were the wrong parts, and they had to be shipped in, and that's also a process that was tough along the way because shipping is very slow these days.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess there was like some parts came off in the middle of the process, like handing off the Sea Glide was hard.
Mostly just because of the having to be in person to do that, or
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had to like meet up at the school like every 2 weeks or so.
Got
1
it.
week.
Okay.
And yeah, some parts fell off and we had to readjust that. So
okay. So I want to go around and just ask everyone about, kind of the roles that you took on during the project. What was your favorite and why? Maybe we could start with Jose.
Oh yeah. So during the first week of project, I was documentation, and I did enjoy my job at the first. I really did. Mostly because one of the biggest things about the group is having someone document the work. So that means having everyone have everyone receive and get the latest update as to where we are right now. And I think that's one also that was important for us is keeping ourselves on track as if what needs to be done, what has been completed, or where are we right now. And that was one of my tasks at first, and it was a little bit struggling with how we can manage everything. However, I was able to manage it with the help of my teammates. We all were able to get along, and we were able to share our ideas and what part are we in the documentation. So with that, I was able to organize our work into a OneNote, right? And I was able to document as to what parts have been completed. For example, Torian was our manager. He was a project manager during the first week. So he was, I was to keep him in mind as to where we are right now, what needs to be updated in Team Gantt. Are we meeting our deadlines? And so that was one of my parts. And for research, who was Matthew during the first week of our project, I needed to keep on track as to what our decision was for our project. And so I will make a list of these researches that he will do, and we will organize these, and we will all come back together into a team. And so we will discuss about it as to what can be accepted into this project as to what we think is not very good. And I think I overall did enjoy my part. Overall, I think I did enjoy being in documentation because I think organization is also key for making a project staying strong.
Okay, thanks. Lorenz, do you want to go next?
Sure. I was the construction manager, so I get to build the Arduino, like soldering it together, which is the funnest, the best one, the best part of the project. And I got to test it. I got to test it in the tank on the last week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you hit any challenges with building or testing?
Oh, for building it, there are some parts that wasn't included in the kit, so I had to go to school, pick it up, do it again, and stuff like that. And by the end, I think my cap broke, so I had to redo it in the testing, like in the testing site itself. So I had challenges, but I still finished it in time.
Yeah, you must have had enough time if you were able to move the schedule up, but that's good because a lot of times in testing, that's when you end up losing time because something breaks or something goes wrong that you have to figure out. So that's cool. How about you, Matthew?
As for me, like I am actually in between two of my favorite roles, research and documentation. Like, reason I like the research is because I had a lot of good suggestions for like what we could have done with the Sea Glide. Like, I suggested that we did the sonar sensor to have the Sea Glide detect its surroundings or in its field of view, so we could like avoid hitting the surface or potentially bump into a dominant predator within the water. But other than that, like one of the challenges I had was actually finding a part that actually will fit inside the Sea Glide and within reasonable price range. But with the aid of my colleague Lorenz, he usually found like another part that would be like the right size for the Sea Glide. However, like it would kind of be out of the range because like the school probably wouldn't have allowed us to actually buy it ourselves, and they would have to, like, it was a whole process.
Sure.
But as for documentation, like I didn't really see too many challenges, all except for like actually getting all the information compiled together, because if one of our teammates is down, especially if it's like one of importance like the construction manager, they would have to like give their 2 cents either through like text message or phone call, so I can actually gather that information and put it into OneNote.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Torin, how about you? What was your favorite role?
I was stuck between two. I really liked both construction and being project manager, but I think between the two, I like being project manager the most, just because with construction it was a little stressful, and plus with project manager, I really liked kind of setting the tone for all my teammates. I liked having everyone's input and having and basically divvying out the roles and what they were supposed to do that day, stuff like that. And I really liked communicating with them and see what they had to say. I think that was really fun for me. So.
Great. Okay, last question. And I'm going to do it kind of another round robin style here. And I've been asking all of the teams this, and it really stems from the fact that, teamwork, like the stuff that you're doing now in school is what you're going to be doing in college if you end up in college, or in your jobs. No matter what your career is, you're always going to have to work with a team usually to kind of get things accomplished. And I'm just curious, what would be one takeaway from this project that'll kind of help you on future projects like this? Torin, you're on camera now if you want to start.
Sure, I'll start. I guess one takeaway I would have to say is if the work is either long distance or there's another pandemic or something like this happens, it's really it's really useful to learn how to communicate virtually and collaborate through, I guess, Zoom calls and stuff like that. Because at first we found it like kind of trying because we've never done something like this before, and it's hard to communicate and get a read on someone, how they're feeling, like what's going on that certain particular day if we can't be face to face. So I think that is one thing that is good to be getting used to in the future, because it might be a future thing that goes on too. So
yeah, just really quick, how often did you meet, whether that be on just a Zoom call or, you know, often did you regroup as a team?
We met pretty much every day. I'd say, like every school day. For short sessions, like hour and a half sessions, depending on what we needed to get done that day. But yeah, that was
cool. Okay, who wants to go next? Matthew?
I guess I'll go. Yeah.
Cool.
I guess one of the key takeaways is open to suggestions. Like throughout this project, I've been giving suggestions, and it's been taken with a grain of salt and with and it's been received as good feedback for like some of the teams, as well as like during my time as project management, Lorenz actually gave a ton of good suggestions, and some we followed through and some we didn't. But overall, he actually, like, we all actually gave a lot of good suggestions that actually we benefit from because we were open to hearing the person out instead of shutting it down immediately.
All right. It's definitely a good takeaway. It's important, critical to teamwork, actually. Being comfortable in that, too. Jose, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Something I'll take away from this is we got to know our personalities more than what we usually do. I think that's one of the biggest, what I see in a team as well, is getting to know our members, who we are, and what type of characteristics we have with one another. Mostly because I wouldn't be saying the same thing once we finish high school, because we're gonna go into a place where we're gonna meet people. We're gonna get to know one another. However, because we all know one another, we have good chemistry with one another. I think that's the reason why we were able to get our project done within a week ahead. And also the reason why is because getting to know who you're working with is also important. You gotta have someone who can stand up as a team leader. You gotta know who is able to be in charge within a certain part. Some people might not like what you're in charge of as well, and getting to know who likes to do what, and getting to know what part do they enjoy the most, or where they're weak at. I think that's also very important to know what are our characteristics and what are our skills within our group, and how we can make our skills and come together as one.
Great answer. That is definitely something that you would hear from an experienced project manager, right? Like getting to know people, understanding personalities, understanding how people like to communicate. Just spending that extra time really can help you to be more successful, not only just on the project level, but in just building relationships and growing, and honestly in your career long term. Having that level of kind of emotional intelligence is important. So good for you. Lorenz, do you want to go?
Yeah, for me, I think procrastinating is the biggest part of this, because despite having to finish like weeks before the deadline, I know I did slack off. I played some video games. I didn't do the project, but sometimes in like projects like this needs to be done in time, and I think that would be a great lesson in the future.
Yeah. So do you think that you're kind of internalizing that fact that you felt like you were slacking off, or did you think your team saw that?
I think didn't suck because
Because you were on time.
yeah, because I was on time. Didn't expect me to like not be on time.
So it was more like a personal thing for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure,
So is
sure.
it more of like, I know I have time, I can get this done so I can play a few video games, no biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Basically
it.
like
I get
that.
it. Everybody does that. As long as you're getting your work done on time, that and balancing and knowing your priorities, that's the big thing. Well, cool. This has been great. You know, again, congratulations on finishing the project, doing a great job. You all had really great responses for me today. So thanks for your time. If you have any questions for me, I'm here, or feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
You too, sir. We all thank you as well. We thank you guys for being here and for taking the time of hearing us out and watching our video as well. So
Absolutely. More than happy to do it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good luck.
You too, sir.
Have a nice
Have a good
day.
one.
Bye. You too.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Superman.
Hey guys.
So sad for me.
Welcome.
All right.
All right,
Okay.
so that appears to be it. So
Hey.
you guys did a great job, I'm sure. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll be playing through these later.